I'm a parenting coach, and I can't read a parenting book, watch a parenting summit, or take a parenting course without feeling guilty AF. And if you ask me, that's a freaking problem. See, here's the deal: the world is now full of parenting experts that are all telling you best practices for parenting your child, your neurodivergent child, or your neurotypical child. And while that is a good thing, because we now know more about parenting than we ever have at any point in at least white history, um, I also, though, think this is a bad thing because it sets our parents up for feeling like we need to model our entire family 100% after best practices. And spoiler alert, that's just not necessary. So I want to be super honest. And as a parent coach, I don't follow all of the best practices or even most of them. And not in a, I try my best, but sometimes I slip up. Aren't I relatable? No, that's not what we're talking about here. We are talking about me intentionally, actively choosing to use a strategy for my specific family that goes actively against what the best practices are. And so, what I want to do is in the next couple of minutes, I want to share with you three specific strategies that I use with my neuro family that go against best practice. I'm also going to be sharing with you why best practice shouldn't even be the goal and what you should be focused on instead. And just before we dive into it, to take it even further, I am hosting a brand new um, free workshop. It is completely free. It's called The Three Vital Steps to Develop Your Unique Flavor of Parenting Strategies. And I promise there isn't a best practice in sight. So, in the workshop, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to determine what strategies will actually work for your neurodivergent child and your entire neuro family. So if you're interested in watching that workshop, being there when I do the Q&A, drop me a line below and I'll send you all the info in Messenger. And if we haven't met yet, hey friend, Kayleen here, and I'm an autistic advocate and also a parent coach. And I work to empower parents of neurodivergent kids to really develop the unique flavor of parenting strategies that will actually work for their neurodivergent child and their entire neuro family, because neurodivergence does not exist in a vacuum. So let's start with the three parenting strategies that I personally use, even as a parent coach, that go against best practice. And the first one, maybe the most controversial one, is that in our neuro family, actions have results. Now, you might see that and jump to it and be like, oh my gosh, Kayleen is telling everyone that they need strict consequences and blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. What happens in our neuro family is that when actions are taken, we as a family, and sometimes us as parents, have to implement results based on those actions. That's just science. So here's what I mean when I say results. If one of our children cannot go to a park with us as a family without actively running towards traffic, the result of that is going to be that we no longer go to parks that do not have closed in areas that we can be safe in. That's a choice that we have to make as a family, and it is a direct result of actions. So, hear me clearly. This is not my kid chooses to misbehave and so they lose their iPad. No, no, no. It's also not logical consequences in the way that they're currently taught, which might be you go over your iPad time so you lose iPad. This is whenever actions are taken, whenever behaviors happen, whenever there is a struggle in our family, we have to then look at what are the actual results of that action that make a change for our family going forward. If you will not attend school, for example, whether that is because you just don't want to, or it's because you can't do it, right? I know a lot of people quote, the kids do well when they can. Either way, if you will not attend school, we have to become a homeschooling family because it is a legal obligation to educate our kids. Okay. Our actions, adult and child, have results. First strategy I use that goes against best practice. Now, how does that go against best practice? The current best practice is to do away with any and all consequences and handle every behavior, every action as it comes and just create a new plan for next time. And the new plan for next time may or may not be radically different than what the plan was this time. It may, honestly, the biggest issue with consequences, which I actually agree with, is they don't teach you to not do it again. They don't build whatever skill you need. They don't build whatever regulation you need. And so our results, the reason we use those is because we're not trying to build the skill with that result. We're not trying to build in regulation with that result. What we're ultimately doing is saying, okay, we've now seen that this is not an activity, a situation that is that we're able to do anymore as a family, while we build skills and build in regulation and work on that. So while I fully believe in the best practice that consequences don't teach your kid anything, I also know that when you use the results in the way that I do with my family, the way I teach my clients, it's not about what teaches them and what doesn't. It's about making choices based on what your family needs. So that's number one. Number two is, and this, oh my gosh, I'm so scared to say this, friends, we use self-driven incentives. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, in simple terms, someone might look at our situation and say, oh, you use rewards. Not really. So the best practice says you absolutely shouldn't use rewards ever, ever, ever. They are the worst. And they lead to like your child having no intrinsic motivation. Alfie Kohn wrote an entire book on like punished by rewards. Rewards are awful. I have shared that rewards are not the way you want to go. They can lead into like icky behaviorism so fast. And yet we use self-driven incentives in our family. So how is this something that I do when I am like absolutely loudly anti-ABA? Well, here's the thing. It occurred to me when I went to the doctor once that every time I go to the doctor, I then get myself a milkshake because I am terrified of doctors. There is nothing that will make me enjoy going to the doctor. But you know what makes it a little bit easier? That I have paired it with a milkshake. And I know if I go and I get my blood drawn and I like listen to them talk about all of my 1,000,004 chronic health conditions, I'm going to get a milkshake. And I love milkshakes. So when I realized this, I thought, why don't we empower our kids to do that same thing? When they have to do something that they don't really like doing, don't want to do it, why don't we teach them, you know what helps me? Is having some kind of like my own little incentive that I do for it. And if you are listening to this and you're still thinking like, oh my gosh, but rewards and they're terrible and all of that, here's the thing. I am willing to bet there's something you don't like doing, but you have chosen that it's important to do it. Whether that is getting regular exercise or eating vegetables or like, I don't know, working, whatever it may be, we as adults intentionally create incentives for ourselves. Whether that is we watch our favorite show only while we go on the treadmill, or just in addition to when we binge watch it all day. Talking about me right now. We listen to our favorite podcast while we do the dishes, right? All I'm saying is that we can teach our kids to build in these incentives with their consent, with their informed consent, and in a way that's teaching them how to use this skill that took lots of us a long time as adults to figure out. So, am I saying you should tell your kid that if they do their homework every day for a week, they're going to get M&Ms? No, that's not the vibe. What I am saying is that I don't think it has to be that black and white. And if your child says, "Oh my gosh, I hate doing my homework every day. It's such a drag. I need to do it, but like it's so, I hate it." Why not be like, "Okay, well, what could make it easier for you? Would it be easier if you did your homework while you like listened to an audiobook that you love? Would it be easier for you if you did your homework and as soon as you finished, you got to watch, your favorite show, or you got to play your favorite video game? Or what would make it easier for you to do that homework in the moment and then make a plan with them?" So again, not best practices. That is not the vibe that is put out there. You should not be rewarding your child. But I'm like, if they consent and it's their reward that they set up themselves, and it's exactly what I would do as an adult, why don't we teach our kids to do this? Now, I'm going to get to this a little bit more in the future of this live, but my strategy that it goes against best practice and it works for my family may not work for yours. These are not copy-paste strategies. So please hear me. These are examples of when I've had to go against best practice. You will have your own examples of going against best practice, right? So this is not saying you should do this with your child, because for some kids it doesn't work. I don't use this with all of my kids, only the ones that it makes sense for, because best practice is a myth, but we're going to get there. Okay, number 3, and the final is, again, I'm so nervous sharing these with you, friends. Okay, is we have strict parent-led routines. And the best practice here would be to create routines with our kids, being, a team or collaborative, and everyone gets to share their concerns and you get to make your routine, right? However, in our family, that doesn't work out because we are balancing so many things that we need to set a routine and stick to it. And that routine is led by us. We have set up this routine since several kids ago. As we have more kids, I have 6 kids, if you don't know that. So as we have more kids, we're kind of just like, welcome to the family. This is how we run. And it's necessary for our family. We, like I said, have 6 children between the ages of 3 and 13. And I work from home. My husband works full-time, at least now. Sometimes he's a stay-at-home dad, but right now he works full-time. I'm getting a master's degree, and we homeschool all of those children. And so there is absolutely, probably, maybe if you are awesome, a way to do the collaborative routine building with a family situation like ours. But I don't have the energy for that. I need to know when we wake up, this is what it's going to look like. And that's what it looks like every day for our family. And our kids didn't make that routine with us. We, as the grown-ups, made that routine. And it goes against best practice. Should we have involved our kids? Maybe. Or would that have caused more headaches, more meltdowns, and honestly taken more energy than my neurodivergent, chronically ill ass has? Probably. And so we went against best practices there because that's what made sense for our family. And so before we head out, I know I was going to share you those 3 strategies that I use, but I also want to just talk about best practice in general, because the reality is best practice is a statistical answer. It's out of statistical analysis. It says, if you do these things, chances are really good that it's going to work out great for your family. And that's great. I love that we know that. But also, we may be the statistical anomaly. We might be the family that does not work for. And the reality is there's a million best practices. Probably not a million, but you know what I mean. There's a bunch of them. And we fit best practice for like, I don't know, plenty of them, probably, 70, 80% of them, which is why they're best practices. But for some of them, they just don't work for our family or for a specific child in our family. We need to adjust and we need to not work for the best practice. We need to work for what works for our family and for our kids and put that at the center. So often I've had clients say, well, I can't do that. It would be terrible. And I'm like, wait. Why would it be terrible for you to do that? Because some guy with a PhD that wrote a book, 20 years ago, while his wife probably raised their kids, like, because he said so, you can't do this? Like, that's nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. No one on this planet knows your kids like you do. And no one on this planet knows you and your capabilities like you do. And we can write about best practices all day. It's all over. The parent talk is just filled with best strategies, best practices. But if that strategy goes directly against what works for you or your family, it's not your best practice. Sure, it might be generally the best thing to do, but it's not the best for you. And that's okay. You're allowed to look at a best practice, even one that has data and tons of evidence, and say, oh my gosh, I respect that. I respect that that is the best practice and the way to go with most families and most kids. And also, it's not what I'm going to do for my family. You're allowed to make that empowered choice. You really are. I pinky swear, you are allowed to make empowered choices like that. And so instead of striving for best practices, and honestly, the newest best practice from the next summit you go to, or the next book that you read, or the next insert, vlog or TikTok, or, courses, or whatever you may do, instead of striving for each new best practice, instead, what I want you to do is start to look at developing and honing and crafting the unique flavor of parenting strategies that actually work for your family. Because every neuro family is different, every single one. And what works for you will not work for me. For example, one of my favorite strategies in the world, I share it with every single client I talk to, is using I wonder statements instead of asking questions, because questions can raise anxiety in a lot of us neurodivergents. So I teach my clients to start with I wonder statements. Instead of, do you want this or that? Say, oh, I wonder if, so-and-so wants this or that, right? One of my favorite clients in the world, her name is Barb, even though I want to call her Barbara Lynn still. One of my very favorite clients came to me one day and she said, Kayleen, I know how much you love that strategy. It sets my boys off. They hate it. Can't do it. It's the worst. Like, can't do it. And I love it because that is her claiming her expert status in her family and knowing that just because someone that she gets coaching from, just because someone who's got a fancy background and curls her hair says, this is like the new best thing and it's amazing and you should try it and it's got all this evidence and blah, 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 does not mean it'll work for your family. And when it doesn't work for your family, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong or failing. It means that you have a unique and beautiful and weird as hell neuro family. And that is what I'm here for. That's the vibe. So instead of trying to replicate all of these best practices and strategies, sometimes they contradict each other too. So I'm not even going to get into that. This live has already been too long. But instead of doing all of those new strategies and constantly berating yourself for not being able to stick to best practice, because spoiler alert, it's not best practice if you can't do it. It's not your best practice if you can't do it, period. Instead, really give yourself permission to find or create or hone or develop the unique flavor of parenting strategies. A little of this, a little of that work for your family. And only you can tell yourself, only you can answer which strategies are going to work for you. There are people who can help, for sure. There are people who can provide ideas. There are people who can help you to tweak your ideas and adjust strategies so they fit just right. But no one can tell you that strategy is a no and this strategy is a yes for your family. Only you can do that. That is your unique and incredible position as the parent that is leading a neuro family. So, just to quickly recap, I shared those 3 strategies that I use that go against best practice for parenting. And please, please, please do not hear this as, oh, Kayleen does that, I need to do that. No. Unless it's something that you also need to do, like go team go. But this is not what that's about. This is to show you that even parenting coaches that share best practices on the regular sometimes go against them, and not just by accident. So those were that actions have results. We use self-driven incentives, and we have strict, and friend, I mean strict, like we follow them every day. It's the only thing I can actually do a routine with is my parenting ones. Strict parent-led routines, okay? And then we talked about the fact that you do not have to chase best practice. You don't. You can focus on the flavor, the unique flavor. Think of it like a recipe. A little of this, a little of that, taking that out because that didn't work. Making that flavor of unique strategies that are as unique and weird and beautiful and against the rules as your incredible, beautiful, weird ass neuro family is. So with all that said, if you are watching this and you're like, okay, but how do I know what strategies work for my family? Or how do I tweak a strategy? Like most of it worked, but there's this little part that doesn't. And how do I figure out what strategies to put in my recipe? Well, that's why I'm doing my new workshop. It is next week, and I'm so excited. It is the 3 vital steps to help you develop your unique flavor of parenting strategies. And I pinky promise there is no best practices involved, none at all. So in that workshop, we're just going to really hone in on how do we create that unique blend of parenting strategies and find the ones that actually work for your neurodivergent child and your entire neuro family. We need stuff that's going to actually work for you, friend, your energy levels, your values. I digress. So if you want the details on the new workshop, it is completely free. Just drop me a line below. I'll send you the details over Messenger. And if you have any questions or you want to share if you want to share a best practice strategy that absolutely does not work for your family, let me know in the comments. I would love to know. I've seen things like family dinners don't work for your family, or offering choices doesn't work for your family. So I would absolutely love to know what doesn't work for your family, because when you know that, you're one step closer to knowing what does. So let me know in the comments. And as always, remember, friend, I am here for you. You do not have to do this alone.